Here.
Paul Air. Hearn.
Here.
Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Thank you, President of Quorum, and okay, we got Pledge of Allegiance. Rick McKinney.
Right, we can stand for the invocation and gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to be here and start a new year fresh, and we thank you for the citizens of Hamilton County that have entrusted us to make decisions for the good of the county, help us to be prudent and fair, and we thank you for all the people who serve to protect us here and overseas.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And with that, we are going to move on to item 5 to elect the president for 2018.
I'd make a motion for Brad Beaver.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Madam Auditor, I'm calling for a paper ballot on this.
I thought I heard you say something.
We are voting on this motion.
Speak before you spoke.
Thanks.
As far as I know.
Just making sure.
Mr. President, I believe the motion dies for the lack of, we had 3 and 3 and 1 abstention.
I'll second it.
Paper ballot?
Not necessary.
You want to do it? Okay. Start over here. Jeff Hearn.
Yes.
Amy.
Yes.
Rick.
No.
No.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me, Steve.
The motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ditto. Sure.
There you go.
Just in case. You never know. You did a great job, Mr. President.
Thank you.
And at this time, I would entertain a motion to elect a vice president for the county council, and I'll make that motion myself for Mr. Brad Beaver.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all. Welcome aboard again, Mr. Beaver.
Thank you.
Move on. I would entertain a motion, if everybody has read, and we'll approve the minutes of the regular session, December 6, 2017. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carries. We'll move on. Item number 7 on our agenda, public comments. Is there anyone here that would like to make public comments, either on our agenda or that's not on our agenda? Seeing none, we will move on. Item 8, committee and officer reports. President. I have none at this time.
I had none for before.
Okay. Past president has none. Vice president.
Nothing.
Okay. Highway.
We did not meet.
Okay. Finance.
Yeah, Finance Committee did meet. I got some papers here that's been generated by Robin. There's been some questions. We met with Reuter, told him what commitments we'd made on the jail and the courthouse addition, and he's running it through his Reuters calculator to come up with how it's all going to work. He didn't see any big roadblocks, but he was going to put it in a financial plan. And then there's been questions coming to Robin as far as the timing is concerned. So this paper here kind of addresses that. And so I'm assuming we'll hear from Reuters sometime in January.
Yeah, all the year-end reports have been sent to him. He wanted to get his fiscal plan updated, and then we can.
So hopefully we'll have some word from him if there's any particular problem. He didn't see any particular problems. The only thing with the commitments we've made is how close we are to our cash balance, our half year's property tax that we carry all the time. That was the only concern. And I assume we'll see some kind of request for funds at the February meeting from somebody. Right.
And those are some of the
Questions.
the notes and questions that I have on your paperwork, because before we can do that, the council would need to let us, or not, let us know, Dan or the sheriff know what fund they need to take that request from. And until they award that, we won't know the cost.
Okay. We've made commitments, but the technical, where it's coming from is still up in the air until somebody makes a request and or we hear from Reuters. Okay?
Good. Okay. Moving on. Personnel.
We had a poll, and those requests will be seen later on in the agenda.
Okay. Anything under miscellaneous?
Well, I would just like to say, I'm a little embarrassed by this because I didn't do as well as Councilor Schwartz, but I did attend the opening of the Kotiwi run, and as I said, I was there. Oh, I didn't see that. Sorry.
You didn't go down the hill?
I went down the hill several times, but I guess this guy went down the hill like about 30.
He went the night before.
Yeah,
The night before.
Anyway, it's really nice, and I'd suggest, especially if you have children, it's really a fun place.
Anybody else? I do have a couple things I'd like to add. I'd like to thank all of our employees and all those who attended the Hamilton County Wellness event. Great attendance, and I'd also like to thank the people that work there at the Wellness Center for all the presentation. Mr. Beaver and I attended that, and the food was actually excellent as well. The other thing I'd like to bring to everybody's attention on the council, I attended a meeting on the 911 board. It was a committee meeting, and it was to address the participation of all the entities north of Highway 32, Atlanta, Cicero, etc., paying their fair share for the 911 services. And that was the first of probably the next 3 or 4 meetings. And we're still trying to work through how they're going to find the money to pay.
Was there wailing and gnashing of teeth?
I wouldn't call it whaling. They did bring quite a few good questions, and they're just trying to figure out how they can find that money in their budget and how willing the county is able to help them get through that in the next few years. So as those meetings start to transpire, I'll keep you all up to date. Unfinished business. 2018 board appointments.
Which ones are we missing?
This first one, the Alcoholic Beverage Board, I brought up a name last month, and we tabled it. Fred wanted to table it. In the time between the last meeting and this one meeting, Carol Carley called me on the phone, which has been our appointment in the past. And I spoke to her, and I told her that one of my concerns is I'd heard that she goes to Florida in the winter and isn't there for 3 or 4 of the meetings. She said that was true, and she didn't think that was a problem. So then I made another telephone call to Sean Fleck, who's also on the board. It's not our appointment, but he's been on the board for years, and asked Sean about it. He said it's never been a problem, even when she goes to Florida. Her absence has not caused him to not have a quorum or conduct business. So that being said, I would make a motion to untable and drop the previous person that I recommended last month and ask that we reappoint Carol Carley.
There's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed?
Now the Hamilton County one.
Jim Jinbaugh.
I asked Jim to be appointed many years ago, and in the 6 or 8 years he's been on there, they've never had a meeting, so do what you want. He's been our appointment for years, and there's never been business for him to conduct.
There's never been any meetings for this group?
Not the Hamilton County Economic Development Board.
I'm not gonna recommend anybody to that then.
You can keep Jim, he's always been willing to serve, but they've never had, I'm on the redevelopment board, which implements TIF districts in the unincorporated areas, but the development board, I believe, is like if we did a lease purchase on something, its scope is very narrow. As it applies to
Is that a motion, Mr. Beaver?
So move.
Seconded.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And we'll move on to the Westfield Economic Development Board. Ron Thomas.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Joe Dupner. I've met with him 2 or 3 times. He wants to be civilly involved. He has spent most of his life in Westfield. He's a practicing attorney here in Noblesville. He graduated from Westfield High School, was involved in sports there. And I found him to be a very, very enjoyable person. He has been involved in several things here. Would like to get involved in more. I talked to several other people in the community about him. They all recommend him highly. I had never had one person say anything negative about him. So I would like to move that we appoint Joe Dupner as our representative to the Westfield Economic Development Board.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Aye.
Mr. President?
Yes.
On this list, Dawn would like me to remind anybody who does not have a check mark by the purple or the pink highlight, she needs your forms to be turned in for those appointments.
Were those in our last packet or mailed?
Yes.
Did you get mine? Did I already send it back? I forgot.
Did you get mine?
Do you have them with you tonight?
Okay.
Can I just clarify? Was that
Yes.
6-1?
Yes,
Okay, all right, thanks.
Against?
I was.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Okay. Seeing no further board appointments for this year, we will move on in our agenda. Next item is an interlocal agreement between the City of Fishers, it says in Fishers, Indiana, and Hamilton County, Indiana, concerning the reconstruction of Allisonville Road.
Can I interrupt? We forgot the approval of vendor claims, Mr. President.
Oh, thank you. Back up to the next item, approval of vendor claims.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, now we will go to the interlocal agreement, City of Fishers and Hamilton County.
Motion, sorry. Motion to approve.
Discussion?
Yeah, I think our attorney had at least a quick look at this. Chris, do you have anything you want to say about this interlocal? Does it commit us to money?
No, but from my review, it does not commit us to any money. So that's always the number one thing I look at for you guys, because I know you care about it. And it looks like it's in the right legal format. It looks appropriate to me, so I'm okay with it.
So it's just the 10% federal match listed on article.
Right. So that is money.
Well, yes. Minimal money, yes.
All right, yeah.
Thank you, Rick.
Council, I would like to address you with this issue. Did you receive that on the 22nd, Chris?
I did.
Has everybody had enough time to review this? Typically, we look at about a month. Brad, you?
It's not the normal time frame.
I agree. Is there any pressing issue here why we would need to get this done ASAP? Brad?
No, it could wait till the next month if you desire. There is a commitment to money on this because it's a little misleading in the description on the agenda. It's actually for the bridge that is just north of 126th Street. The bridge is being replaced as part of the Fishers intersection improvement project. And they have federal funds, a 90-10 split, to do their project. So that bridge is going to be replaced with 90% federal money, and we're committing to the 10% match just for the bridge itself. That's what that interlocal is about.
Do you have an estimate of what that is?
The match should be approximately $60,000. It's about a $600,000 estimate right now on the replacement.
When are they thinking about doing that?
They're in a pretty tight time frame, and they want to try to get this out in, I think, May. The whole idea is to do this improvement and one at 131st in Ellisonville, and actually the road in between. Get that all done and set up prior to the start of some of the detour traffic that'll happen with State Road 37. So they're planning to do this summer. So the interlocal could wait another month. It isn't going to make a big difference because we're not going to pay anything until we actually see the bid and how much the bridge cost.
Are they looking to completely shut all traffic down off Allisonville when they do the bridge?
I don't think so. Well, on the bridge itself, I'm not sure right now if they're going to do it partially. I assume there will be some closure.
Yeah, I just figured it might go down to one lane and then each way, or not one lane each way it is now, but one lane, and then they fix one side and then they fix the other.
Are you saying bridge replacement?
Yeah, there'll be a closure.
I'll see how you replace the bridge.
That's an awful busy road to shut it down for a period of time. Would that be about a 3-month, 2-month, or 3-month ordeal, you think?
Their whole project?
No, just the bridge.
You know, if they do precast structure, it shouldn't be that long at all. I don't know the timeline, though.
Okay, I'm just curious.
And Mr. President, just for clarification, as far as the agenda item goes, those are taken off of the documents that are given to us, and so therefore the title of that was transferred from the document itself to the agenda. So, Brad,
Okay.
that's what it is.
Well, at this time, I'd entertain a motion from the council.
We have a motion.
Have a motion.
Have a motion?
Yeah.
Motion and second. Further discussion?
You said you wanted to look over this more before we vote on it. I mean, is everybody comfortable with this as it is, or do we want to see more the actual numbers?
I'm comfortable with it myself. I know that Brad has always kept us in line with about a 30-day window of being able to review stuff.
The fact that it's $60,000 is a large amount of money, but not in the picture of a bridge. But still, if you're going to be requesting us to commit funds, we should at least have 30 days on it. I don't have a problem with this. But.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor, aye?
Aye. Aye.
And the opposed? Okay, we discussed this at our last meeting to ratify the 2017. No, I voted for. We discussed our last meeting to ratify 2017 payroll year-end transfers. The total amount is $63,536.79.
Make a motion for A through L.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed? Moving on to page 2 of our agenda. This time, I will open the public hearing concerning additional appropriations. This will include additional appropriations, 144 amendments, transfers, and reductions. Item A is County General Fund. It's requesting $424,968. Okay.
That would carry over.
Okay. Moving on, item 1, the clerk. There's a 144 amendment and a job description update.
Make a motion to approve for discussion.
Second.
Clerk's not here, right?
Discussion.
No.
No,
No
not
clerk.
present.
I'm just going through notes just to make sure that if there is clarification needed, it's no change in pay or classification, it's just a description update. And a title change.
Has there been any reductions in the clerk's office since we went to e-file? How many? Okay. I know we had that discussion. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that has.
Okay, good.
Further discussion? If not, I'd entertain a motion, or I'm sorry. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed, motion carries. Number 2, judicial services, 144 amendment and a transfer.
Again, reorganization of Superior Court 5. I do believe that you received the information from Sharina. If you can bear with me, I can find the explanation of each individual.
Plenty of time, take your time.
There's quite a few on here as far as the specifics. Was this regarding the bailiff? There was a change in the classification. Okay, so it's no money, it's just ultimately the change in who is where based on responsibilities?
Was
Okay.
after all the changes, it was a reduction overall.
I like reductions.
So basically, they just all kind of swapped based on the job responsibilities and the classifications.
Perfect. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed?
I think Amy made it, I seconded it, I think.
Moving on to ISSD Department, we have a 144 amendment, a job description update / reclassification, and a transfer.
So again, this is just reclassification and update of job description and title change of system administrator to applications administrator, Pat B, to a Pat C, and the opportunity to hire above minimum.
The opportunity to hire above minimum?
And it would be a pay increase on this specific request.
Chris is here.
Chris is here.
Come on up, Chris. Happy New Year.
Chris, did you see that latest ordinance come through about service dogs?
I did.
Okay.
Saw that.
So how much is this above minimum? And I'm just curious. Above what is it above what you guys did in your pay bands, Amy?
So with the ultimate, do you want to explain the facts
Well,
where we were?
which one are we going to talk about
Where do we wanna
first?
start?
So there's a PC tech,
Let's start with
and
PC Tech.
I was just requesting to hire, I think, what level? Not mastery level, professional level.
Mastery level, mastery level one.
And really, that position just came open. Nick Hurt left the county to pursue his education full-time. It's an entry-level PC help desk position, and I was really just looking for the flexibility. If we had a candidate with some experience that we could bring in, that I had the flexibility to go up to that level and not above that level. If it's an entry-level person, I will not offer that to them. I will offer them at the entry level. It's just some flexibility there for that particular position that I'd like to have when we go through the interview process.
I'm just curious because we keep seeing these, and the reason I'm asking these questions is because we spent hours banding these things, and then we see these things come up. So I'm just kind of curious where that fits into this.
IT, I mean, if you look at IT from a little bit of a different perspective, the biggest issue, and I think we saw this last month with the offer for a position that was open, The offer was made to two different candidates.
Two different candidates.
And they declined based on the fact that the pay itself for like from where they were to the offer we gave was much lower. And that was, he's ultimately just looking at where they were classified before, I mean, as far as what that level was, and bringing these people in. Ultimately, the IT is a little bit different than the standard bands you'd see in other departments.
Fred, if we interview a candidate and we really like that candidate and they don't have experience, I'll bring them in at the entry level. I'm not looking just automatically to bring somebody in at the PC Tech level to that mastery level. But if I interview somebody with a few years of experience, they won't accept the position if I have to bring them in at the entry level.
What's the dollar amount that you're looking above where it is now? Is there a percentage or
It's $13,156.74.
For
Mastery level 1 for Nick's.
next position,
Yeah,
above
so
entry level?
Above entry.
Okay.
So
it's
up
the
to.
flexibility up. He's not necessarily saying, I'm going to give them 56,000. He's saying he just wants the ability that if there was somebody with the qualifications, that he has the ability to take them to the mastery level 1, because he's not having success in finding somebody that's at that same.
I haven't posted this position yet. So Nick just left last Friday. I wasn't going to post it until I got clarification from you that I could do that. And again, if we post that entry-level help desk position and we get someone like Nick, for example, he didn't have a background in the PC world, we would bring them in at the basic level.
It's just allowing flexibility, so we're not necessarily saying find somebody more qualified if the opportunity presented itself.
I'm just, and that's fine. I'm honestly, that's a perfect explanation for me, but we see these every month, and you sat there and you banded everything out and said this, and then somebody comes up and wants to go outside that band, and then you look next year, and there's this many people outside the band, so you adjust them. You gotta have anybody stick to what we decided to do, but I understand what you're saying, and totally.
Yeah, I agree with Fred. It just sets a precedent. You know, Chris, I mean, we all know, love, and trust you that you're gonna hire the right person for the right salary. We have no doubt. But it sets a precedent for everybody to come in and say, hey, look, if I find the right person, I'll hire them at the entry level. But if they need more, and that is what our banding's all about. So,
it was my understanding that if they have the years of experience, that's where they would be on the band.
Exactly.
But
That's correct.
But if I don't come ahead of time and at least have that flexibility,
Then your option is to bring everybody
then I would
in.
go through the interview process, find someone with 3 or 4 years of experience, and then have to come back and ask again if I could.
So you wouldn't just post for that level?
Oh, no.
That's why he came and asked first.
I guess I would do that a little differently, but
Chris, do you have 2 vacancies or 3? On this sheet, it has 2, but I keep hearing the name Mix, and she's on, or he or she's on. I keep hearing Mix.
Nick. I'm sorry.
I apologize.
So Nick just left Friday. Okay. Last Friday was his last day at the county. The other position, I don't know if we need to discuss that one. So that's the reclassification. There's an opening in that classification, as well as 2 existing employees. We went through the interview process. We offered that position to 2 different people with fewer years of experience than the people we have on staff, with the same, database background. Fully explained our insurance benefits, the county, leave, the holidays, and they still both turned it down. And so, looking at those positions, we went back and I worked with HR and Wagner, Irwin, Shealy. We went through and updated those job classifications or descriptions to really reflect the need for the database background. And it came back with the upgrading from the Pat B to a Pat C, to more appropriately reflect what those positions do. And just to give you an idea, the people in those positions support our payroll and financial systems. They support the tax and billing and assessment systems. They support POSSE, the workflow permitting systems that are used throughout the county. Again, we found out of probably 50 to 60 candidates, we had really 4 that stood out, interviewed those 2, and they both turned us down, so.
So
No.
you're interviewing, no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, this specific position too has not been updated in 16 years, I believe. And so obviously as our technology has increased, the position itself has, even though the responsibilities have increased, the position from a classification perspective has not reflected that. And so I think it was important that it did go back to Wagner Irwin.
In a lot of these debates, we debate this throughout our personnel meetings frequently of trying to compete with the private sector. Do you think we're in line with the private sector? Are we behind?
This is the first time I've had a real difficulty in filling a position. And I think it was because we hadn't really looked at needing someone with a SQL database or Oracle database background. And when we started to look at that, I think we're behind. These positions do that. We hadn't adjusted the job descriptions, classification levels to really accommodate that. But no, on the network side, we've not had any problems hiring, network administrators. I think we're fairly competitive there. We hired 2 really good GIS people, so I think we were competitive there, and we hired them away from other people. So this was the first instance where I feel like the people we had on staff, we were very fortunate to have. We were, in looking at this and then talking to these 2 people and asking them to come onto the county, we were, I think, underpaying those folks, and we would have never attracted anyone.
And but just to clarify that, we're not trying, government's not trying to compete here with the private sector, right? You're not trying to get Apple-level employees.
No.
That's not what we're here for.
But
I just wanted to clarify after hearing
No,
that.
that wasn't.
No, but, there's the people we have on staff like working here, and they understand they could go somewhere else and make more money, but they work an 8 to 4:30 job. They typically live close to home. There's some flexibility that comes with working here, so they give that up. And no, we're not trying to pay what Salesforce does or Exact Target or anything like that, but we do need to be close enough. Again, we had 2 people that lived with, I think one was down in the Fishers area that we offered the position to, who even with our benefits and that flexibility of living close to work, turned us down. They had fewer years of experience than the people we have in these positions currently. I would have had to go above, I think to get them on board, I would have had to go above someone who's been here 10 years.
Are you getting trouble finding initial candidates before the offer? Like you post this thing, do you get a lot of hits?
Oh yeah, yep.
Chris, the transfer request for $151,000 and change, is that anticipated to give these people that are going to get the upgrade raises?
So, Rick, what that does, if you approve his request, so there's 24,482 that would be in addition to, and then the transfer are taking those positions that have been reclassified and moving them to the correct line item.
It's not a.
The answer is yes.
It's not 150.
Why are you? Well, that's what you're asking for is 151,000.
It's a transfer, but the additional appropriation or
Which we don't
the
have.
additional amount
Right.
that you would need is 24,482 for the 2 positions, and then if Chris has the flexibility to hire up to a professional level, that's a additional 17,000. So in February, yes, if you approve this, then he will come back for 41,854 worth of additional appropriation. But the transfer is just getting the money that's been prorated to the right line item with the reclassification from
Moving
WIS.
their salary from their
Right, right. Oh, I understand that. I totally, I'm just saying, this is an example where individuals got whatever, we gave, 3% raise or 3.5%, and they're now gonna get a much more substantial raise with the reclassification of their jobs.
Well, yeah, they will. I mean, yes, because they're going from a Pat B to a Pat C. Yes. I mean, that, again, when I started this process, that wasn't necessarily my intent. I mean, my intent was to hire for the one position, but when we couldn't do that, I had to look at that classification or that job description in our office. And these three individuals, the vacancy and the two, were all in that same job description. And
I
all did
understand
similar work.
the technical skills and the difficulty and that sort of thing. But this is something that we've seen, for several years. And whether it's by design or it's just happened that way, that people are getting extra increases through this reclassification phase. I mean, it's almost automatic that when a reclassification is done, that people are getting extra money.
That's our biggest expense we have, we're trying to manage too, so.
And I understand. Again, if I can only say what these positions do.
I understand.
I get it.
I understand.
And this is the first time I've gone through and actually reclassified a position in 9 years, 8 years. Again, this is the first time I've had difficulty, but then I think we've been competitive and been able to be competitive and attract good candidates in all of our other positions.
Have you been able to use the carrot or the sales item of being able to work flexible, telecommute yet?
Not yet.
I'd make a motion, we approve these,
Wait a minute, no,
You'll be the second. Amy?
we need a motion and then a second.
I thought we already did.
No.
did.
We did?
Did
How did
we?
we jump
I
in?
made motion.
I
then
made the motion.
Then I'll be the second. I think what Chris is experiencing here is a result of full employment in that particular job description.
When a lot of our software programs, when we first started bringing them on board and the implementation, the network administrator was really responsible for it more so, and the people underneath the network administrators just kind of kept the wheels on it. And it has changed now because it requires the people in those positions to truly not assist in taking care of the software. They are responsible for it. And they have to have the knowledge, skills, and abilities to do that. And when Wagner Irwin was looking at those job descriptions, I mean, even they're making a change with it. They did not easily give a recommendation to change from a Pat B to a Pat C. And when we started actually analyzing what they truly did for their level of responsibility, they have to have independent judgment, and they truly are like a lower lying management position rather than just someone assisting a network administrator. So that was the push and the difference in the position and the needs for Chris in finding someone to be able to do it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed. Thank you all. Happy New Year. Moving on. Item B on your agenda be the Clerk Perpetuation Fund. There's a 144 amendment in front of us.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
President, can you point that out on this?
Let's see.
That'd be what it it is.
Okay.
Vacancy.
Okay.
Are we eliminating that one?
Back to the minimum.
Madam Auditor, probably gonna need a little bit of clarification
Yeah,
here.
playing both these.
Okay, we can just, I move to table.
In the bottom comment it says wants permission to hire above entry level, so. If we don't have anything else, I second.
Do we need to withdraw the other?
Then hold on.
We override it with table.
Okay.
It's been tabled.
We need to vote.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
President, can you tell me, so Rick, did you move to table and who was?
I seconded it. Brad made the motion. I seconded
Soon we'll have clarification by our next meeting. All right, this time I'm going to close the public hearing.
We got one more of
Have
these.
one more.
Yeah, the communication.
All right, I thought we did both of those, public safety amendment as well.
No,
Okay.
just the clerk's perpetuation.
I'm sorry, we will go back up to item C, the public safety communications. There's a 144 amendment.
This is in regards to,
I'll make a motion that we
Sorry.
approve.
There's been a motion.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and second. Now some discussion.
so for clarification, my apologies. Mr. Snowden had requested a salary increase for communications shift supervisor to training and quality assurance officer, as well as an additional communications. Basically, there are 4 communications officers to communications shift supervisors at various levels. Is that correct? Mr. Snowden, do you want to?
Why don't we have Mr. Snowden step up to the podium? Good evening, Mr. Snowden.
So you gave us permission with our budget for 2018 to hire 2 training and quality assurance officers. So we had a competitive process, and through that we identified 2 folks that were currently supervisors that will become training and quality assurance officers. And so their hours are changing from 2,080 per year to 1,950. Their work schedule's changing as well. So we're looking to make a lateral dollar move from their current salaries as a supervisor to their salary as a training and quality assurance officer. And so the closest we could come to them, one will be a senior professional level 1, the other will be a basic level 4, and that is to get them to just about the same dollar amount. We're talking one actually loses about $100 a year, and the other one makes about $700 less a year to switch to these jobs. And so that's the first 2. And then because those 2 have been promoted or are about to be promoted on January 13th, we did another competitive process to hire 2 new supervisors. And so we found through that competitive process one person who has 9 years of experience. And so what we ended up doing was placing them as a proficient level 3, and that ends up being a 96-cent an hour raise. And the other one is a basic level 4, up being a $1.16 an hour raise to become supervisors. And then the 5th request is for a dispatcher who we just hired. He started yesterday. He has over 10 years of experience as a dispatcher. And what we've done in my entire tenure here is if you come in with 5 years or more of dispatch experience, we bring you up to what used to be called the midpoint. And now that would be a basic level 4 position, which would have him at $42,702 a year, which is about $4,000 more than the basic level or the base starting salary. And so after 10 years of experience, he gets a $4,000 bump.
How much is this outside of the budget that we approved in budget hearings? You just said we approved something in budget hearings and then...
You approved the positions at the budget hearings, so I don't have a dollar amount for what it's outside of. My guess is, or would you like a guess? I hate to hazard a guess, but I can hazard one if you'd like. It's about $10,000 a year difference for the 5 positions.
Above what and that's above what we approved.
That is correct, sir.
And how, just for clarification, how much of your budget comes from county?
8% of my budget comes
That's
from
why
the
I
county
keep voting
general
for this, but the thing keeps, and this is just another example.
We had approved the positions themselves as far as the supervisors. I mean, so this is something we were aware of.
Yeah, I know.
We didn't necessarily know the dollar amount.
You said 8% comes from county, right?
Approximately 8%, yes, sir.
Here's the thing that I'll chime in on this. As a counselor, no disrespect to you, Mike, we see changes coming from 911 dispatch, whatever you want to call communications, almost every month.
Yeah.
Which as a counselor, that's not particularly what I like to see, but since I'm on Mike's committee, I realize that he has about, didn't you tell us, 20% turnover a year?
The national average is 20%. Last year, we enjoyed a lower rate than that, but it is roughly 20%.
Turning over people on a regular basis, so I assume, and I meet with him every so often, I assume he needs these things to keep bodies in the seats at our dispatch center, so I won't growl at him, and I'll vote for this whenever it comes up.
You're a heck of a guy.
I am.
Do you mind if I responded to that? So I have a 9-year veteran employee who makes about $50,000 a year, and I'm supposed to start her as a supervisor at $43,000. So to Chris's point of not being able to get anybody to come in at these salaries, no one will take a $7,000 pay cut to be a supervisor. So I have to come, and we've set this up when I got here, if not before, that there's a formula that they put in place between HR and the auditor's office. It's about $1 an hour raise. And so for the amount of work that they take on to become supervisors for $1 an hour, I don't know how they do it, because I absolutely would not do it if I were in their place. So I understand that we come here a lot, but I have 85 employees and a 20% turnover, and it's just something that we do. We're growing exponentially from 4 years ago, where we had 48 dispatchers. We now have 60. And so this is unfortunately business as usual. I would much prefer to never have to come to you for any of these requests, but that's just not realistic.
I understand. It's the nature of the beast.
It is.
And I commend you on a great job out there, by the way.
I appreciate it. We have a very good team.
Yeah, and I appreciate too the fact that you have a lot of pressure from the different communities on how these things are regulated. I understand that.
You're right. They all have a vested interest in how their money is spent.
Yeah,
And so,
exactly.
yes, it is something we have to deal with.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Is there any other further discussion? Let's move on. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed?
Mr. President,
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike.
I may actually go back to item B that was requested for tabled. I do have the description. It was actually sent to the group on 12/22 regarding the explanation of that. If you'd like me to read it so we can revisit, or if you would like to maintain it being tabled, but everyone was presented with the information.
I would like to hear it. Go ahead, Amy.
It was basically that Mrs. Bates is requested to hire above the minimum for the vacant microfilm director position. Currently Comet D, basic level salary of $35,588.48. She recently interviewed a qualified candidate with over 30 years experience in microfilming, and she would like us to approve the request to hire this specific candidate at the proficient level salary of $41,282. So roughly a $5,500 difference with that opportunity to retain her at the 30 years experience for that director position.
And does this fit within the pay bands?
It does. It actually much exceeds based on her experience coming in at proficient level 1, I believe is right. So not even into the mastery level, even with 30 years experience.
Make a motion.
To untable.
On table, yeah.
Second.
Moved and seconded to untable. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I make the motion to approve.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you
Motion
very
carries.
much.
Thank you for that research, Amy.
No problem.
Okay, this time we will close the public hearing and move on to announcements. Sheriff.
We had a difficult close to 2017 with a couple issues, but we're looking forward to a prosperous 2018 budgets. So, thank you and Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your efforts in the recent tragedy as well, Sheriff. Moving on, Council Attorney.
I have nothing.
Madam Auditor.
Yes, I just want to extend again the thanks for the raises that you allowed us to give to our employees. I know my staff was very appreciative. I had to get the Kleenex out a couple times, and so you guys don't always know or get the thank yous, but I want to extend that from myself, Dawn, and my staff, that it was truly appreciated in my office. So
Well, it's good to hear. I had a couple, I'm sure everybody else got the emails too.
Yep.
I mean, but they do a great job. I mean, they're the ones on the front lines in making sure that our county is rated as high as it is, because they're the ones interacting with all the individuals and all the citizens out there.
Oh, one other, I right after last month's meeting, Councilor Schwartz and myself met with a different set of developers and representatives from the city of Noblesville, some guys that want to develop our parking lot, and so it was another set. We had one set maybe 6-8 months ago. This was a different set. And
Same project though, right? Same idea.
Same idea,
Yeah.
and they kind of run down what they generally had in mind, and we kind of batted back and forth a few thoughts and whatnot, and I think Commissioner Harebrant was going to try to have a meeting with us and the city of Noblesville, the representatives, 2 or 3 people from the city of Noblesville, in the next 60 days to give them some kind of guidance or whatever from our perspective, but it's a tough go. They want to develop our parking lot, but nobody's got a good idea what we're supposed to do with our employees who are parking there now.
Wasn't it conventional wisdom? I mean, I thought last time they said we had to build we had to have a parking garage built first before we would consider that. I mean, that was the Board of Commissioners, right, Mark?
It was a different developer, and I explained to him we needed our spots. I did explain that to him. So maybe we'll meet again with Noblesville, and nothing, no groundbreaking ideas come out of the meeting. They'd like to do it. We'd like to have our parking spots. That kind of is the impact.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I figured.
Anything else for the go of the order? If not, at this time, we are adjourned.
Thank you.